Would you like to know the 10 mistakes pros on Pinterest won't tell you about, but are keeping you and your growth stuck? Do you often hear different experts give contradicting information and you struggle trying to figure out what information about Pinterest out there is actually true? Also, what are mistakes no one is talking about you should actually avoid at all costs so that your account grows, your pins go viral, and your traffic to your blog explodes like crazy? If that sounds interesting to you, in today's video, I cover the 10 biggest mistakes you should avoid on Pinterest and why. So you never spend countless hours following a strategy that doesn't work, or you make a mistake that could potentially hurt your account. Hi there, my name is Katie of whatskatieupto.com, and I'm a Swiss blogger and YouTuber. I teach passionate online entrepreneurs like you how you can use Pinterest to grow your blog and business. And before we jump in, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell below so you don't miss any of my videos. I post a new video about Pinterest and blogging every Tuesday. Now, making mistakes on Pinterest is normal. I've made them too. Also, Pinterest changes and evolves all the time, so it's important to keep up with current best practices and may get rid of a strategy that used to work but is now harming your account. Today I'm going over the 10 biggest mistakes pros like to keep to themselves. I cover general best practices you should follow and also things that have changed only recently and might surprise you. Now, before we jump in, make sure you grab yourself access to my free blogger resource library. It contains over 30 plus blogging and Pinterest related downloads you can access immediately once you grab your password. Grab your free Pinterest guides, checklists, cheat sheets, and so much more so that there's nothing in the way of your Pinterest success. Find the link to the free library in the description below. Okay, grab a cup of coffee and let's jump into the 10 biggest Pinterest mistakes you should avoid at all costs.
All right, so mistake number 1 is to focus on repinning other people's pins instead of focusing on your own stuff. Now, in 2018, I was pinning 80% other people's content and only 20% of my own. And you may have heard of something like the 80-20 rule, but this is an outdated strategy on Pinterest and it doesn't work anymore. Pinterest has moved away from the idea that you grow your account by sharing other people's content. Now in 2021, in order to grow your account, traffic, and followers, you should mainly pin your own content, so your own pins leading to your own website. If you only pin your own pins, it's great. If you sometimes share someone else's pin because you think it's great and valuable to your audience as well, that's okay too. But you should not be pinning most of other people's content. Now, there are a couple of theories why Pinterest is moving in this direction, and one of them is that they simply can't handle all the data repins are creating. If you can imagine, there are now over 400 million monthly users on Pinterest, and every time you're saving a pin, Pinterest is creating a duplicate of that pin. So it's creating a new URL for that pin. So we are now talking billions of pins. So I think they are addressing this data issue by saying content creators should focus on their own content. And you can also see the stats here from 2021 by Hootsuite, and they tell you that the average pinner types in 8 Pinterest searches every month. It all adds up to more than 2 billion searches and more than 2 billion pins saved to more than 4 billion boards across the platform. Can you even imagine how much information that is for Pinterest to process? That's mind-blowing. And the second reason is that you as a content creator should showcase your own content. You're creating these valuable resources and products, and you want people to click over to your website and not to pins you saved but lead to a different website that was created by someone else. Pinterest wants to support content creators. So pins coming from your claimed website or your claimed social channel will always be distributed more than pins you saved leading to a different website that's not your own. So don't make this number 1 mistake and focus on creating your own unique content and pin that unique content, and you'll see growth on Pinterest. The second mistake is to not switch to a free Pinterest business account. If you're a blogger or a business and you want to use Pinterest in your marketing to make some money on and off the platform, you need to have a Pinterest business account. And this is even stated in their terms of services. And they clearly state if you want to use products for commercial purposes, you must create a business account and agree to our business terms of services. So these are the terms of services from Pinterest. This is a policy of theirs, and I will link to this policy in the description below if you want to read more. But basically, they're telling you if you want to use Pinterest for marketing or business, you should have a Pinterest business account. Now, you might be saying, oh no, I don't want a Pinterest business account. What is this business account, and do I really need this in the first place? And my answer is, if you're a business or you're a blogger, then yes, you need a Pinterest business account. But let me tell you, a Pinterest business account is a great thing. There's tons of advantages to creating a Pinterest business account. First of all, it's totally free if you're worried about that, but it will unlock all kinds of helpful tools on your account when you have a free Pinterest business account. So once you create a new Pinterest business account or you turn your existing account into a business account, you will, for example, get access to analytics here on top. So this will give you an overview of all the stats of your audience, of how well your pins are doing, and all kinds of super helpful, relevant information. You'll also be able to claim your account. So you can see that below my account, we have my website here, and you see that little tick box here, and it says this website has been claimed. And this you can do with your website, you can do with your shop and your social accounts. And all pins coming from a claimed account will get boosted by Pinterest and reach more people than pins coming from a not claimed account, which just means that you will receive more traffic and more engagement if you have a claimed website, which you can do if you have a Pinterest business account. Now, you can also run ads here on top if you are a business and you want to dip your toe into paid ads and you want to use pixels, for example, the Pinterest pixel, to track who's visiting your website from Pinterest and how they behave on your website. Then this is also added for free if you have a Pinterest business account. So there's really no disadvantage in creating your Pinterest business account. Okay, so mistake number 3 is to not optimize for mobile. Now, yes, I know, I'm always showing these videos on YouTube using the Pinterest desktop version here because it's easier for you to see and get the full picture. But the fact is that 85% of pinners use their phone and mobile app to scroll on Pinterest. So this is a study done by Sprout Social, and they say 85% of pinners use the mobile app. And this should come as no surprise given the fact that around half of all website traffic is on mobile, but around 85% of pinners are actively saving pins from the smartphone app. Now, this is a super important fact you need to consider when you're creating your pins. Think about how your pins look on desktop versus your pins looking on mobile. When you're sitting on a computer, your pin might look great and your font is easily readable. But how does your pin look on mobile? Are you using enough contrast to stand out in the feed? Also think about what colors might work. Is it better to use colors everyone else is using in your niche, or would it be better to use a color that stands out in the feed? Also, Pinterest looks different on different devices, so on Android versus Apple iOS phones. Pinterest can also look different depending on which location you live. So my Pinterest account in Switzerland may look different than yours, for example, in the US. Now, you can also go into your Pinterest analytics and just simply go to analytics and then audience insight and scroll to the bottom. And then you can see the devices used by your audience and see how you may need to adjust your pinning strategy. So you can see clearly that for me, tons and tons of users use iPhone and Android, as well as some tablet users, and then occasionally they also log into web, and you can see that this is how many people use more than one type of device. Each type of device used will be counted in this chart. So you can see the distribution of how your audience is interacting with your pins on different devices. All right, mistake number 4 is to ghost your audience. Now, if you've been subscribed to my channel and watched some some of my videos, you'll know that consistency is very important on Pinterest. And by this, I mean pinning new, fresh pin images on a regular basis. Don't go posting 40 pin images on one day and then ghost your audience for the rest of the month. You want to come up with a clear schedule of when you're bringing out new content and when you're creating and pinning new fresh pins for that content. Now, a major factor of the latest algorithm update is that Pinterest wants new, fresh ideas. And yes, that requires to create new content, so new blog posts or new products on a regular basis, so you always have something new to share with your audience. Now, yes, a couple of years back, it was totally okay to pin 80% of other people's content and then once in a while create a new piece of content and then pin it to Pinterest. This does not work in 2021 and onwards. You want to come up with a schedule and pinning plan so that you show up for your audience on a regular basis. Now, I recommend you check out my video about how much pinning is right for you if you want to learn more. So come up with a realistic plan and then start creating. So it's okay if this means you're pinning less daily, weekly, monthly than you used to, but it's more important to show up consistently than just to pin a bunch of stuff and then ghost your audience. Mistake number 5 is to use hashtags over keywords. So up until last year, keywords and hashtags were used by the Pinterest algorithm to understand and rank your pins in the Pinterest search engine. Hashtags were pretty new on Pinterest, so you could type in your hashtag here in the search function. And the pins showing up in hashtag search were showing up in chronological order. So the newest pins with those hashtags would appear on top. And when you would search for a general keyword, so without the hashtag, Pinterest would sort these pins, not chronologically, but by relevance. Now, Pinterest is flip-flopping with hashtags and their information about that, and I can now say with a big certainty that in 2021, hashtags don't work anymore, or they don't work as they did last year, so showing pins in chronological order. If you search for a hashtag, pins with and without hashtags are showing up. So for example, if we click on that pin here, you can see that this pin includes hashtags here, but it was pinned like, let's see when this pin was pinned. You can go into comments, for example, and you see that the last comment for that pin was 8 weeks ago. And I highly doubt that in the past 8 weeks, there were no other pins with that hashtag on Pinterest. So the Pinterest hashtag search in chronological order does not work anymore. So in my opinion, it would be a mistake to use hashtag in your Pinterest descriptions instead of keywords. I would recommend you focus on your keywords, so mainly on keywords, and then may add 1 to 2 hashtags, or you decide to leave hashtags out altogether in your pin descriptions. Now, mistake number 6 would be to create irrelevant boards. Your boards make up a big part of your Pinterest SEO strategy. So SEO means search engine optimization, and it's how you can be strategic on Pinterest to optimize your account for the algorithm. Now, your boards are a major factor impacting the algorithm. So you want to make sure every board on your profile is relevant for your business or blog. On one side, you don't want to confuse your audience by adding boards that have nothing to do with your business. You also don't want to confuse the algorithm with boards that have nothing to do with your blog or business. The algorithm looks at your individual boards, but it also looks at your boards overall. So if you sporadically add unrelated boards to your Pinterest account, it could negatively affect your account ranking, and you could see less success with your pins. So less people seeing your pins, less people subscribing, and less people clicking over to your amazing blog or products. Now, I've got a full video on how to clean up Pinterest boards. If you're interested in that, just click here on top. Okay, mistake number 7 that you can do is to use low quality images and unreadable fonts. It's very important that you use high resolution images and readable fonts on your pin designs, and there's several reasons for that. First of all, most phones now have Retina displays, which will not forgive pixeled or blurry images. Pinterest wants to give their users the best user experience, and that's when you have images that are crisp and beautiful. Now, second, the Pinterest algorithm can now understand what's on the image and read the text that's on the image. So not only can Pinterest identify that there's, for example, a city or a sky on that image, it can also read the font that is on the image. So 5 things I wish I knew before traveling to Santorini. This means you should really make sure you use high quality images in your pins that are crisp and clear, and you use fonts for your pin text that can be easily readable. So instead of using a script font that's hard to read for a computer, aim for an easy sans serif font and you could see your pins do even better in the algorithm. Mistake number 8 I see all the time is giving all your attention to group boards. Now, a couple of years back, group boards were the secret weapon to growing your account fast on Pinterest. And that's why maybe you've heard that you should to spend a ton of time searching for and applying to group boards. Now, spoiler alert, group boards don't work as they used to. So the strategy was that you would join a group board like this one. You can see that this is a group board because it has additional members who can also share their content to this board as well. So the strategy was that you would join a group board that had already a ton of followers in it, and whenever you would pin to these boards, your pins would get distributed to all the followers of that board and the followers of the members of these boards. So that's a huge amount of people. Now, when Pinterest introduced group boards, this wasn't their aim at all. It was their aim to create boards where people could actually collaborate and share projects. So this is why Pinterest has now limited the reach of group boards, and this boost strategy does not work anymore. So please don't focus your time trying to find and get into a ton of group boards. Focus your energy on creating new content and growing your own boards. Now, if you are part of 1 or 2 group boards that are really working for you, you can totally remain in those boards and keep sharing your content, but just don't expect that that is going to be the changing strategy for your account. Mistake number 9 is mixing your personal account with your business account. Now, when you set up your account for your business or blog, you want to make sure it only covers topics that are relevant for your niche. You don't want to mix your personal Pinterest account with your Pinterest business account. Now, it's 100% okay to pin your favorite recipes, DIY projects, travel inspiration on your personal account and use Pinterest like everybody else to plan cool life events like I do here on my personal Pinterest account. But these boards have nothing to do with my Pinterest business account. Imagine, for example, you're a teacher using Pinterest to sell your printables, schedules, and planners for moms who homeschool their kids. Now, your audience does not want to see your keto breakfast recipes on your profile, or you're going to totally majorly confuse them. So what I recommend you to do is simply create a new Pinterest business account and focus all your energy there on serving your audience in your main niche. And finally, mistake number 10 that I see is pinning square pins. Now, there are always different information floating around of how big or how tall a pin should be to get the most attention in the Pinterest feed. Now, even though there isn't one clear answer on how tall your pins can and cannot be, one thing is very clear. Vertical pins are better than horizontal or square pins. Square or horizontal pins just take up less space in the feed. And as we've discussed, many people use mobile and just imagine how tiny a square pin is on your feed on mobile. Now, Pinterest is always coming out with new aspect ratios for the ideal pin. Right now, they recommend using a 2:3 aspect ratio, which is 1000 by 1500 pixels. If you go taller than that, your pins might get cut off. Now, if you really want to get the most exposure on Pinterest, focus on creating beautiful, high-resolution vertical pins that take up a lot of space in the smart feed, and don't just slap on a square pin image that's too small to see or does not feel engaging. I've linked to the Pinterest product specs page here in the description below, so you can go and check it out for yourself if you want to learn more.
Well done for sticking through the 10 biggest mistakes you can make on Pinterest. Pros don't like to share. I hope you know now exactly what you should and shouldn't do on Pinterest and what strategies have worked in the past but aren't today, so you don't spend a second wasting your time on Pinterest. If you have any follow-up questions, leave a comment below and I will get back to you ASAP. Also, don't forget that this video is sponsored by my free resource library. You can grab your password to the library on my blog and get access to 30+ free downloads teaching you all about blogging and Pinterest. Grab your free Pinterest PDF guides, cheat sheets, checklists, and more on my blog. I've put the link to the free library in the description below. And before you leave, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and notification bell below so you don't miss any of my videos. I post a new video about Pinterest and blogging every Tuesday. Now that's it from me for today, and I will see you soon. Tschüss!